Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to go over how to make a weapon inside Unreal 4. So this is going to be part of one of your scripting tasks. Go down to task 3, so make a gun function by firing projectile. We might be able to cover in this here one like how to change the firing type to single shot, burst, or fully automatic. And then another one is expert, is make a child class of your guns. So you have a variety of different types of guns. Then are attached to the player with a firing functionality. I think we could probably do all those actually. And then pickups, ammo, health, switch between weapons in their arsenal. Yeah, we could do that maybe in this video. Base pickup class with multiple pickup types, ammo and health. Yeah, I think we could probably do that as well. I'm trying to keep these videos short, so we'll see how far we get through. So if you look in your folder, there's a folder called prototype weapon down here in the content browser, and in here there's like a list of different weapons that we can use. Like there's these kind of pink underline ones are the skeletal meshes. This is kind of what we're going to be using. The other ones, these are kind of like the physical asset, which we'll go over in later lessons. But yeah, so we've got a pistol, we've got a shotgun, we've got a sniper one, we've got a grenade launcher, and we've got an assault rifle. So maybe for this here video, I'll kind of take you through how to make a pistol and how to make an assault rifle. So I'm going to go up to blueprints first. I'm going to make a new folder in here, and I'm going to call this folder weapons. Okay, and in here I'm going to make a blueprint class. It's going to be an actor, and I'm going to call this here one weapon parent. Okay, and I'm kind of going to go through why we're going to be using parent and child in a second to kind of show you the way it works. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to make a parent blueprint that is going to have some components in here that we can utilize, some functions. They're going to be empty, but we can kind of utilize them as well. And it means that once we make this parent weapon, we can then start making child classes based off it. And because it has some common components and common functionality that we need across all the weapons, it means that we do not have to recreate that stuff. Okay, it already is contained within the parent, and then that gets inherited down into the child. So it's kind of like what we have here in our first person player character. That is a child class, okay, of the character class. Okay, so this is actually a child class of a character. And if we go over to our component section, you can see that there's inherited here after some of these components. So these are components that are made within the parent, and they're inherited then in the child. I can't delete any of these, but the ones without them, these are kind of like optional ones that I've put in then for the first person character. And this is what we're going to do for the weapon parent. Okay, so in here we're going to need a few components. One is going to be the skeletal mesh, and the other one is going to be an arrow component, which is going to be basically what direction the bullet's going to come out at and where it's going to come out of, like near the muzzle, that type of thing. So we're going to add a component. It's going to be called skeletal mesh, and we'll just call this gun. And then another component, arrow, and we'll just leave that there. Okay, this is where the thing's going to fire out, okay, or the projectile. And then in the event graph, we're going to make two custom events. Okay, we're going to custom event fire, and we could have another custom event like stop fire. So one where we're going to be firing, and another one where we're going to stop fire. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make a function. So let me where are my functions? Function here, we're going to call this fire bullet. Alright. And we're going to come back to this in a second, okay? Because we have to make our bullet to start off with. So let's go to our level. Let's go to blueprint class. Let's make an actor, and we'll just call this bullet projectile. Okay. And let's open this up. So in here in the event graph, or sorry, components wise, we're going to have a particle effect. So it's going to be a particle system, not the Niagara one. And this is going to be called tracer. Actually, I could just delete this. Another good way is just to go down to particles here and find, let's just go for the assault rifle tracer, and I'll drag it in, okay. So that's what we have. This might disappear after a few seconds, but it's okay. And then what we need is a box collision. Tracer will come back, and what we're going to do is resize this box collision so it fits somewhat around our tracer, okay. Doesn't have to be completely accurate, you know, something like that is totally fine. And then finally, what we need is in our blueprints, I'm going to make a new folder called AI. We're not actually going to make AI in here. What we're going to do is we're going to make a target, okay, blueprint that we can use, but I'm just going to keep it in the AI folder. So it's going to be an actor, and we're going to call it target. All right. I'm going to open that up. I'm going to get in my meshes, there is a target. I'm going to just drag that in. And for this here, I'm also going to have a box collision. And I'm just going to resize this so it fits around my target. Something like that. I'm being a bit generous, but yeah, that should be fine. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to your bullet. We're going to make sure we've got our box selected. And what we're going to do is we're going to go down the event graph, and we're going to go to begin overlap. And this is not the most efficient way of doing this when we kind of go through communication and blueprints, and we do blueprint interfaces and things like that. That's when, you know, this will kind of change slightly, but it works well enough for now, so it should be okay. But basically what we want to do is check if this box has come into contact with the target. So we're going to have a cast to target node. And again, we're going to use the other actor as our object identifier. And then what we're going to do is basically as target, we're just going to destroy it, okay? So that's going to be this target class is going to be the target that we destroy, all right? And that's it, okay? The other thing that we need in the bullet, is it's the new components called projectile movement. So this is pretty cool. We're just going to name it as that. This is a pretty cool component. Basically, it adds impulse and trajectory to your bullet at a certain speed. So I think I'll put this one up as like 2000 as max speed and initial speed. And another thing I'm going to do is make sure the gravity scale is at 0 so it doesn't fall down. And I can test out what this looks like by going into the viewport. It's going to be going in the X direction. Okay, so I'm just going to look this way. And if I hit simulation, you can see now it's going to move that way. Alright. Another thing that we're going to do is when it destroys one target, we're going to destroy ourselves. Okay, we always have a destroy self at the very end of the logic and not in here, because it will destroy itself and then it would never get to this node where it actually destroys its target. Okay, so just bear that in mind. If you're ever going to destroy a blueprint by a target self, have that at the end of the logic, okay? Just to make sure all the other logic runs and then it destroys itself at the end, okay? Once we've got our bullet set up, okay, and we've got our target set up, what we can do is we can go to weapon parent again, and we're going to fire this bullet. So basically, whenever this function is called, which is named fire bullet, we are going to use a new one called spawn actor from class, and the class that we're going to spawn is called bullet projectile. Forgot the name of it for a second. So whenever we call this function, it's going to spawn this. The thing is, this is going to fail because it needs to know where and what rotation and what scale we're going to be spawning this bullet, okay? So if I split this transform, you can see that they're all in there. We need to figure out where we're actually going to spawn this. Let me recombine this. So that's why we have the arrow, okay? So the arrow, if we get that, and then we get the transform of the arrow, so it'll be get world transform and plug that in. Wherever the arrow is, that's where we're going to spawn it, okay? And that's basically it, I think, for our weapon at the minute. Okay, so we've got these two custom events. We've not hooked it up to this fire bullet yet, and I'll kind of show you why in a second. So this is all in a parent blueprint, and then what we're going to do is we're going to make child blueprints of this one for a pistol and assault rifle, and we're going to set them up in a way that they act differently as well. Okay, so let's do that. Let's go to your level. Let's go to blueprints. Let's go to weapons. So we've got our weapon. I'm going to just save all. If you ever see that wee asterisk, that means it needs saved. So I'm just going to save all. So we've got our weapon parent. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click this and I'm going to create a child blueprint class, and this is going to be our pistol, okay? And I might put child underneath it just so I know it is a child blueprint. And open this up, and you can see now that all these components are inherited. So they are. If I go into my event graph, you can see that it has this kind of parent thing. Basically what happens is here is whenever this child blueprint event begin play kicks off, it goes through what was ever in the event begin play for the parent and make sure it knocks that off or executes that as well. Obviously we don't have anything in there, so we can kind of like delete that. You'll also notice that our custom events are gone, but we can get them back by just typing fire, okay? So, fire, and it's the event fire, and then fire event stop fire. Okay, so we can get those back. And again, these were made in the parent, so they've just been inherited from the actual child, or inherited from the parent. If we go to our viewport and go to our gun, what we want to do is add in our pistol skeleton mesh to this. Pistol. And then our arrow, what we're going to do is we're going to rotate this. Again, this is not the most efficient way of doing this. Like when we do like bones and in the skeleton meshes, we can kind of sort that out. But for now, we're just going to use this here. You can see my grid isn't letting me snap it in the right place, so I'm going to make it a bit smaller. And I'm going to snap it in there. And I'm just going to try and line this up as best as I can. We don't have to get it perfect, but that seems pretty good to me. Okay, so we're going to spawn our bullet here, and it's going to go in that direction because the arrow's rotated that way. That's why an arrow is pretty good. Another thing about the arrow is whenever you press play, it's never seen. Okay, it's hidden in game, so it always disappears. Okay, so that is our pistol hooked up. One last thing that we need to do is in the event fire, we need to call our fire bullet function. All right, that's it. So in this child, whenever we call this event, we're going to call this function. And in our assault rifle, whenever we call this event, we may call a different version of this function. So, you know, even though both childs come from the same parent, we can kind of change their functionality pretty quickly. Okay. Now, what we do in our first-person character, I'll tell you what, we'll make our assault rifle. Let's make our assault rifle. Go to your weapon parent, we'll do this whole thing again. Right-click, create a child based off that. We'll call this assault rifle. And let's open this up. So in here, under gun, we're going to put our assault rifle. And the arrow, we're again going to rotate and move in the right direction. I'm thinking now I shouldn't have moved the rotation. I should have rotated the gun, but we'll see how that stacks up in the player. Let me just check. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just grab the pistol child for a second. I'm going to just drop it in here and see what that looks like. Yeah, it is facing the wrong way. Okay. Sorry, I'm going to have to go back to the pistol and the assault rifle and just make sure that I rotate them 90 degrees so they're facing in the plus X. So you can see the X is going this way. And I'm going to do that for my arrow as well. I'm just going to move that over so it's in front of it. And then I'm going to do that for the assault rifle. Okay, so I'm going to move these so they're pointing in the plus X, 90 degrees that way. This one, 90 degrees. And then I'm just going to move this over. Yeah, something like that. Be okay. So now if I go to my first person character and I just drop my pistol child, this is only me testing, so you don't have to do this. Yeah, it's facing the right way. That's perfect. Okay. So you also notice that in our actual player, we already have a gun set up. What we're actually going to do is delete that gun, okay, because we don't really need it. So I was going to do it this way, but to be fair, we can use parent-child classes. I think they work a lot better, and kind of go from there. All right, so if I press delete and delete this muzzle, okay, we've just got our arms now, so we kind of don't need that. Oh, I maybe have... Oh, in the construction script, we may have to delete this as well. So just delete that. There we go. If it brings up an error, yeah, just go in the construction script. There's 2 nodes in there, just delete it. Okay, so what we're going to do is... oh, my assault rifle, I haven't done the coding for that. So I've just set it up visually. But in here, again, we can just delete all this. And we can type in fire, event fire, and then fire, event stop fire. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to set timer by function name, okay? And this is a new node. But basically what it allows us to do is repeatedly call the same function over and over again, okay? So we can set this on a timer and we can kind of loop through the function. So whenever this gets executed, it basically keeps calling that function over and over again until we stop it. The way we stop it is we can basically get this return value, which is going to be of a timer handle structure. And we can tell it to pause, okay? And then we're not going to actually pause it here. We're actually going to pause it with our stop fire. So whenever we hold down our fire button, it's going to go through this function. And then whenever we release it, what we're going to do is we're going to pause the timer by handle. Okay, so it's just going to basically pause this. Now, in terms of how often we want this function to fire off, I'm going to say 0.3. So every 0.3 of a second, we're going to shoot a bullet. We're going to make sure that looping is on, and that should be it. The next thing is we need to put in the name of our function. Now, we named this back in our parent, weapon parent. And just to make sure that I definitely get the name right, because you have to be like capitals have to be right and everything like that. So I'm going to go in and copy this, Control C, so fire bullet. And then I'm going to go to my assault rifle and I'm going to paste that in, okay? And the object, okay, where we're going to actually, what we're going to set the timer to, we're just going to type in this, okay? Or it's going to be self, all right? I think it's this in Unity. Got mixed up there. So yeah, it's just a reference to self. So this is what we're going to use to kind of, this is the object that holds this function that we're going to be repeatedly calling. So it is. So basically now we've got 2 weapons set up. They're both parent or child of the parent. They're using the same function within the parent, but they're using it differently. And we haven't had to do much else with the coding. The stop fire we don't actually need in the pistol either. So the next thing that we could do is in our player, in the event graph, we could bring up the 1 input here or the 2 input here. And whenever we press 1, we could switch to 1 weapon, press 2, we could switch to the other. Now we could do it that way, or what we could do is go to settings and go to project settings. And if we go to the input manager, we can look at what bindings we have. So this is something new again. Something I'll probably cover in another video is basically we can basically bind keys to a certain event name, okay? And the reason that we would do this here is sometimes you're using keys for multiple different things, multiple different blueprints, and if you then halfway through development think, you know what, this key doesn't really work with this interaction, we're going to change it to like from E key to T key, then you've got to go through all those blueprints and change each one manually, and it's like a lot of work. Where what we could do here is we can say, all right, the E key is going to be interact, and then we can have this interact event all over our project in different blueprints and everything like that there. And then we go, oh, you know what, we're changing this from E to keyboard enter instead, okay? And you can do that one, and it'll like migrate across all the blueprints. So what we're going to do is action mapping. We're going to have like pistol, and we're going to change this to keyboard 1, and then we're going to have another action mapping, and this is going to be rifle, and that's going to be in keyboard 2. So you can imagine like, oh, maybe I come through here and I go, oh, I've got a knife now, I want that to be 1, pistol with 2, the rifle to be 3. I can easily come in here and change that rather than rifle in 3 blueprints or something like that. You can also see in our axis mapping, so this is all to do with like analog sticks, mouse and stuff like that there, where it's not just a press the button, this is kind of more like a 0 to 1 gradient. They're already in there, how to look up, how to look right, move forward, WNS, and move right is DNA. Okay, so that's those set up. So in our first person character, if I type in pistol now, see I've got an event for pistol. If I type in rifle, I'll get that. And what we're going to do is, we're going to put another input. Project settings, action input, fire, okay? And that's going to be, for me anyways, mouse, left mouse button down, there we go. So if I go in here, I'm going to have fire. Right. So whenever I click my mouse, that's going to happen, unclick, this is going to happen. If I press 2, you know, if I press 1. So whenever I press input action pistol, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spawn an actor from class. The actor is going to be the pistol child, and it's spawn transform. So yeah, we need to have a transform for this. So what we're going to do is initially use the mesh 2p, which is just basically the arms here, and we're going to get the transform for that. So we're going to spawn it basically where our arms are. So I'm going to get world transform and plug that in. Now this is going to be a bit weird in that when we do when we do press play and press 1 now, you can see that it's made our pistol. I'm going to keep pressing 1 here, and we just keep tapping it. You can see that it is, but it's not actually snapping to our player. They're just falling to the floor, okay? They're not really doing anything. So we need to kind of change that. And you'll notice in this spawn, okay, where we set what class we're going to spawn, we set the spawn transform, and there's a few other things that we can do in here in terms of handling the collisions and stuff like that there. It actually returns a value, okay? And basically this returns a variable of whatever class that we're doing it, and it stores that object that we've just spawned, okay? What we can do with that is we can pull that out. We can use this attach node, and it's called, there's a few, okay? There's like attach component to component, attach actor to actor, or attach actor to component. This, because we're spawning it in the world, is going to be an actor, okay? So if I type in attach, and what we want to do is we want to attach it to this component, so it's going to be actor to a component. So attach actor to component, okay? So you can see that the target is whatever we're going to attach. The parent is whatever we're going to attach the target to. So we need to get a reference to our mesh and plug that in. And you can see our mesh would not plug into this here because that has to be an actor, where this is just a component, okay? And this is an actor that comes in there. Next thing what we need to do is we need to set up some rules about like what way it's going to work with this. Is it going to always stay attached, or is it going to keep itself relative? So at the minute, you know, like if I press play and press 1, like it's attached to me. If I press F8, I can escape my body and kind of go around. Oh my god, where am I? Oh, let's press play again. Alt P for play. F8. Yeah, there's something up here. It's not working right. And the reason it's not working right is it's attaching, okay, but then, I don't know, it's making things disappear. And the reason is we need to not keep things relative. We need to snap to target, okay? So basically, this target's going to snap to our parent. And then we need to keep well simulated bodies. And the last thing is we need to get the socket that this is going to attach to. This is going to be something newish again. So if I go to my viewport and look at what we have here. So basically we've got this body is a skeletal mesh. Basically what that means is it's got 3D geometry, and then under that 3D geometry it's got like a skeleton, which is just basically like virtual bones, okay? But what we can do in Unreal is we can set up basically sockets that we can attach things to within the skeleton. So if I click on this magnifying glass, it's going to bring me to this asset within the content browser. And then if I open this up, you can see that in here we've got our mesh, and we can like rotate it because it's got like a skeleton. I'm not going to do too much in here because I'm going to have to undo it. So I can kind of rotate this around. I can go into animations and I can see what animations it has. So like it's got one for run, so it kind of just bobs around, one for fire, boo, 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 one for idle, one for when you're jumping and things like that. So it's all pretty cool. Another thing that it has a tab in here is skeleton. Okay, so we can kind of go through the whole skeleton, see what's in here. And default with your project, we actually have a grip point, okay, that's already been made for us, which is pretty cool. So what we could do in this here is grab the name grip point, because this is a socket and it's attached to the right hand that we need. We can go and get that name. I just copied it. Go to our first person character, go to this attach actor to component, and in the socket name we can paste that in, okay, and there we go. Now this might be an issue because I did rotate the gun, and now I'm thinking I shouldn't have rotated the gun. But basically if I press 1 now, it's going to spawn our pistol, and then it's going to attach the component or the actor to a component. So if I press 1, you can see my pistol comes up, and it's, yeah, it's not pointing in the right direction. So it's not. So what we want to do is, there's two things that we could do. I suppose the first one is, and probably the best one to do, is to go to the pistol child and just rotate it 90 degrees so it's pointing in the plus Y direction. Yeah, we're gonna have to do this for the pistol and the assault rifle. So my fault on that. So yeah, I'm just going to rotate it on the x-axis so it's facing in the plus X or Y, and this is by default the way it's brought in anyways. So if I press play now, press 1, you'll see my gun showing. For some reason my hands aren't showing. I'm pressing F11 here as well to maximize my screen, and I'm just thinking, are these being hidden when we press play? Rendering hidden in game, yeah, okay. I don't know if there's a problem why I did do that. It might be because they look a bit wonky. Let's press 1. It looks alright, looks a bit weird. Okay, so you might want to go in here and make sure that this isn't hidden in game anymore. Another thing that we're going to do is whenever we do spawn a weapon, and this is important, we're going to right click this and we're going to promote that return value to a variable, and we're going to call this gun, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we set that. And you can see it's still attached, and we can actually attach it this way. Oh, there we go. So we can have something like that. That's important because whenever we make our assault rifle, we want that to be in its place, okay? So next thing that we're going to do is assault rifle. We're going to go through the same process. So it's going to be spawn actor from class. It's going to be the assault. Oh, forgot spelling there. I'm going to copy this, so we're going to transform it in exactly the same way. And we're going to set it as gun, so grab a set. Oh, I'm an idiot. We shouldn't have this as a pistol child variable type. It should be just an actor. Okay, so if we go to actor, that's what we're setting it as. Yeah, just change variable type. So just bear that in mind. So this gun, yeah, don't right click and promote it to variable, just create it and make sure it's a variable type actor. And because we're spawning these in the level, these are going to be actors as well, but we don't have to be that specific on what type of class they are. So this should work now. Again, we're going to grab this. So it's actor, attach actor to component. And there's going to be socket name grip point. Location rules are going to be snap to target, rotation rule, snap to target, scale, snap to target. And this is going to be a funny result, but don't worry, we're going to fix it. So if I press play and press 1. Oh, my thing didn't show. Let me just check why that happened. Oh, I don't have this connected up. There we go. So if I press 1, get my pistol, press 2, I get my gun. And if I kept pressing 1 and 2, you can see they're spawning on top of each other. We're just going to have loads of these in the scene. So what we can actually do is, whenever we're spawning it, what we're going to do is we're going to get this gun variable and we're going to destroy what's ever in it, okay? So we're going to destroy it first and then we're going to spawn a new gun. So get it, destroy it, and then spawn a new one. So they won't spawn on top of each other. So if I press 1 now, got my pistol, press 2, got my assault rifle. Yeah, that kind of works. Press 1, you can see they're not spawning on top of each other now. Okay. You might get a small error, don't worry about it, it's just going to say it's access none. Basically what happens is the first time that we spawn our pistol or assault rifle, this variable is not going to have any information in it because we haven't spawned anything yet to set it. So it's going to say, hey, you try to destroy something that's empty. A bit of an error there, okay. So the next thing that we do is in our fire, what we're going to do is we're going to get our gun variable. We're going to cast to weapon parent. I'm going to explain why we're casting to the weapon parent. And then from the weapon parent, we're going to fire. So we're going to fire that event. And then when we release, what we're going to do is we'll do the same thing. Cast to weapon parent. And we're going to stop fire. So the reason that we're not casting to like a pistol class or assault rifle class is because I know that in my weapon parent that both of those weapons are children of it. So they inherit all of their features and their events and their functions. And when we use a cast to parent, that actually is accessing the class, but since our pistol and rifle are a child of that class, we can also access them. So if this gun is basically holding a pistol, the system sees that as a weapon parent class still, okay? And if it's holding a rifle, it will do exactly the same. So whenever we press fire, if this here variable is holding our pistol, it's going to fire whatever function we had in our pistol or whatever we had that set up to. If we have our assault rifle in this, so we've spawned our assault rifle, we've set it as our assault rifle, it's going to not call that function, it's going to call, let me check, the timer. So it's going to do this on a looping event. And then whenever we release, it's going to call this stop fire. Alright, so let's try that. Let's press play. Let's press F11. Let's press 1. If I shoot, see I'm firing. Get my assault rifle. I hold it down. It's firing. It's not actually that fast. I thought 0.3 seconds would be pretty fast. So let's go to your assault rifle and change this to like 0.1. So it'll be 3 times faster. Okay, so press 2. I've got my assault rifle. I think the bullets are a bit slow. Let's go and change that. Let's go to your bullet projectile. Let's go to our projectile movement. And instead of 2,000, we'll put in 20,000, which might be too fast, but we'll see. So, oh yeah, that is far too fast. Okay. Let's change that to like 5,000. Press play. 2. Okay, 1. Shoot. 2. There we go. That's pretty good. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is put down some targets. So let's put our blueprint. AI, and then we've got some targets. So let's drag and drop these in. Press play. Press 1. Shoot that. It's working. I don't have a HUD, so it's a bit hard to see, but yeah. You can see I can destroy these now. So that's a bit of an intro into child-parent classes. We're going to do that for our pickups next as well. And then what we're going to do is make different pickups for health and ammo and stuff like that there. So we'll do that in the next video.